Kia ora everybody. Ata Mārie. Kia kara kia tātou. Kia tau nā manaakitanga te kaihanga. Ki runga ki tēnā o tātou. Kia māhia te hua mā kihikihi. Kia toi te kupu, toi te mana, toi te aroha. Toi te reo Māori. Kia tūturu, kia whakamaua, kia tīna. Haumi e hui e, tāki e. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Matt. Awesome. So yeah, we'll get started I'll quickly introduce myself. So kia ora, ko Charlie Tupu Rōpū. My name is Charlie. I use he, him pronouns. I am based in the beautiful Tauranga in the Bay of Plenty, having just recently relocated from Te Whakanui Tahi, so from Wellington. So really enjoying being back home in the Bay of Plenty, where I call home, and connecting with my whānau and the beautiful, beautiful beaches here. I've been doing youth work now for several years. I did the Bachelor of Youth Development back in the day, and now work for New Zealand Red Cross as a youth activator there. I also sit on the Korowai Tupu Rōpū and proudly represent Korowai Tupu today. So yeah, I'll hand over to our panelists. So I'll jump to Matt, who just, over to you, Matt.
Kia ora. My name is Matt Renata. I'm born and raised in Te Awa Kairangi, which is the original name for Lower Hutt, in Te Upoko Te Ika. On my father's side, I te taha o tōku pāpā, no Ngāti Porau ahau, Ngāti Kahununu, a te haunui a Pāpārangi from the Whanganui River, and also Ngāti Rōpani ki Waikare Moana. Ki te taha o tōku māma on my mother's side, no India oku tūpuna, ko Gujarat tōku iwi, ko Nausari te papakainga I tērā rohe. But yeah, Wellington's always been home. It's like my heart. And met my wife, Rachel. She's also been involved in youth development and stuff. She is Ngāpuhi and Japanese. And we moved up here to Tāmaki Makaurau in 2019. And we've both been doing a Bachelor in Indigenous Theology. Sorry. But yeah, and then have kind of spent this year doing full immersion Te Reo Māori in Takiura with my beautiful friend Christina Leaf. And it's just been a buzzy journey and figuring out how to weave in Te Ao Māori with youth development, with community development, but also kind of things we're learning about from Hawaii. How did our ancestors navigate the biggest ocean in the world? You know, and how's that been lost, but how do we weave that into our mahi now? It's really buzzy stuff. Anyway, that's me. Kia ora koutou.
Kia ora, Matt. Thank you so much. And I'll pop to Mandy.
Tēnā tātou e te whānau. No Denmark, no Scotland, no Italy, o ku tūpuna. I tipu ake au I Aotearoa I ahuriri. Ko te mata o rongo kākau te maunga, ko tuki te awa, ke te whanganui ātara au e noho ana. He kaiakau ahau, ke WelTec and Tutor, ko Jennifer Burkan Roa, ko Colin Hay, oku matua, ko mandyhay tōku ingoa. Nō reira, tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou katoa. Lovely to be here and to be with you all on here. Haven't seen some of those beautiful faces for a while. At the end of our teaching year, it's been a year with COVID yet again sideswiping us, and a lot of online learning. So you can see Brady nodding his wee head. It's been a hard yards for the tauira. Yeah. But yes, it's a pleasure to be here representing an education space for youth development. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Kia ora, Mandy. And finally, I'll pop to Moose.
Kia ora whānau. Ko Moose tōku ingoa. I practice my mahi in Ngā Motu, Taranaki, Plymouth. I'm from Inglewood originally, which is about 20 k's that way. which is an interesting little town because of two reasons. One, it had for some years the highest rate of twins per capita, and two, it had the highest murder rate per capita. So it was a pretty gnarly place to grow up, and everybody either was dead or looked the same, you know what I mean? The mahi that I do here as a youth worker has been the single most valuable and life-changing thing that I've ever done, besides having a family of my own. Incidentally, 2 of my 4 kids are twins as well, so there must be something in the water. I am blessed with a wonderful work environment and a job that really just calls to me. And it happened by accident too, because when I went for the job, I didn't get it. But the lady who did get it decided it wasn't for her. So I was second on the list. So it worked out great for me. Anyway, it's a real honor to be here with you guys. And thank you very much. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Moose. And it's so good to have someone from the regions representing. So great to have your voice and you on the call. So yeah, I'll just jump through all of the panelists. So if we just want to maybe go in the same order that we started. But our first question is, how did you get into youth work, and then what do you do now? So if we go to you, Matt, start us off.
I mean, it's a big question, but I'll try and put it into 1 minute. I think it's really to do with ko ai. Growing up in Te Awa Kairangi, didn't know my Māori whakapapa, didn't know my Indian whakapapa, didn't know the gifts that I had or anything like that. And so kind of going through high school, you know, you go on autopilot. I suppose I was pretty broken person, which means that I got, you know, stood down a lot and got told off a lot of the time by my teachers, because really just I was pakaru. You know, and I had a youth worker at school, and you know, random as, but he ended up becoming a Canterbury Crusader and an All Black. His name was Ross Filippo, but he wasn't, you know, hardcore into rugby at that time. He was my youth worker, and of course, he didn't care any about my marks or what was going on at school. He really cared about me, and that was my first taste of getting an older brother or tuakana. And so I made it to the end of school, year 13. I was a residential builder, and then the recession hit in 2008, and I just got the calling. I just felt it right in my puku. Hey, what about youth work? And so I did praxis and completely jumped trades. And, you know, I had someone who helped me out when I was younger. Maybe it's my turn to give back. And I had no idea that I was still going to be involved all these years later. But probably I have to give a mihi to, I learned from some of the gurus like Lloyd Martin, Jane Zintle, Justin Duckworth, you know, all these hardcore people that really just fueled my passion. And so, yeah, I've just been involved ever since in different capacities, different roles, like within education, within a youth centre, within a church setting, many different roads. And so, yeah, that's kind of it. And what do I do now? That was the second part of the question, eh? I think I've already shared that with you guys. But I'm really interested to kind of start looking outside the box, looking back to our tupuna, our rangatira. How did they do community well? But yeah, koira.
Kia ora, Matt. That's so awesome. And I love that whole, like, that calling from your puku about, like, I want to do youth work. Like, I think that's so powerful. And, like, you know, the journey you've been on and that wanting to give back to tupuna and all that. I just think it's incredible. So thank you so much for sharing. Mandy, we'll go to you.
Beautiful kōrero, Matt. How do we do community well, hey? They're beautiful. I think for me, how I got into it was I saw community when I grew up, and my father was my inspiration. He has since passed on, but I watched him build cultures and build groups. It didn't matter who he was with, he built teams, and through sport, through ABL, teams that always succeeded because he played the player and not the game. And I didn't realize how much of an inspiration he was to me For me, I went on to build my own team cultures in business, and I loved them. There was quite a flat round table cultures that we grew. No hierarchy, shared profit. We always spoke in the terms of we. It was never I or my. And when I left those businesses or passed them on or sold them, it was as if I'd never been there, which was perfect because it meant that we'd created something bigger than myself. So for me, after that, I was volunteering. We were giving leftover food to an alternative education school from some of the work that we had been doing. And I went out there and the bells started ringing. And as a kid, I was a bit like Matt as far as I didn't like being boxed in. And I was a bit of a rule breaker, maybe, pushing back against systems, people out of touch, people not understanding, nothing individualized in the education system. And so for me, it was about, tapping in those little cheeky ones, those naughty ones. That was where I was at. So when I went out to that alternative education school, bells were ringing and I knew I wanted to be there. Got into volunteering there, then studied, did a diploma, then did a degree, and then ended up doing a master's, all based on youth work, and am now teaching on the degree and diploma. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Mandy. And yeah, you do such richness in the BYD, having been a BYD graduate myself. Like, I know firsthand the magic you work, and I think you know, my cohort affectionately called you the fairy godmother of the BYD, and I think you know, you make magic happen for a lot of students who are in the BYD and now the diploma as well. So just really want to honor that, and also touch on what both you and Matt have talked around, that whole, you know, community. There's a huge movement at the moment with, you know, the COVID times. We talk about community care rather than self-care, because we're like feeling really fatigued on our own, but actually if we as a community look after each other, there's more care and wraparound support. And I think like just touching on the points you've both talked to really highlights that as well. All right, I'll jump to you, Moose. We started hearing about what you're doing now, but yeah, what got you into youth work and all that good stuff?
All right, it was kind of by accident. I needed the work. Like I'd started working at WITT as a media studies tutor back in 2016, and the position came up, and I'd already met my boss Jonah, who you guys might know, Jonah Phillips, and we got on real well. The position came along, and I interviewed for it, didn't get it. The lady who did get it decided it wasn't for her, and so I just sort of came back and slotted into the role. So it kind of happened by accident. And then I started learning all this neat stuff about a strengths-based approach and the difference you can make for rangatahi, and all of this incredible. So it was just this Bob Ross happy accident, you know, and here I am, and I wouldn't change it for the world. If I had the same office, man, I got all my records on my wall, and it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that's the short version. Thank you.
No, awesome. Thanks, Moose. And I'll jump to you for this question. We'll go in reverse order this time, just to switch things up a bit.
Yeah, cool.
So this question is, why do you champion youth work as a profession and a practice? So why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do? Good question.
Yeah, nice, easy question, right?
yeah, totally. I was 4 years old when my parents broke up and my dad moved back to Australia. So my brother and I were raised by my mum. But that said, although times were tight, we had a very wholesome upbringing, and both my brother and I, because of the way we were raised by our mum, quite level-headed people, and like we're reasonably stable, and everything's cool. So I was, because of that, like if Dad had stuck around, things would be a completely different story. And I know everyone's got their own story. Jesus, I'm waffling. Get to the point. I felt like I needed to give back, and I feel like now that I am in a position where I can, and with the PD and the benefits of having a position like this, and the further learning means that I can be a responsible adult in the lives of young people, when in many cases those rangatahi, they don't have that. And I feel like it's a real blessing and a real honor to be able to do that and just help some people out.
Kia ora, Moose, that's awesome. Yeah, and it's definitely like such an honor and a privilege to journey alongside people as they navigate the world and figure it all out. So I think, yeah, all of us can probably resonate with that, and different, different young people at different points we've interacted with. Mandy, I'll jump to you.
I have to tautoko you there, Moose, and what you're saying about if we're in the position, to give back. And I got to that stage too, where there was that tipping point in your life. I suppose it's maturity, maybe, who knows, where you, it's all about me, and then no, actually, it's not all about you. To have found that purpose was such a lovely thing, having searched for a long time, in all the wrong places, maybe. But for me, why I do what I do, if you look at the state of play, I suppose, in the world today, the uncertainty, the ever-changing climate and landscape, I would say that there has to be a shift to really intentional youth work, rather than just relying on the natural abilities. Hey, so for me, bringing in constant state of intentionality into what we do, and while we're doing it, we've had to upskill into that place of professional youth work, not just the feel-good stuff. We really have to make some inroads for our young ones. So that's me. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mandy. I think that's so poignant about really the intentionality behind it, and really, kind of professionalizing things. And I think, small plug here, but that's why a beautiful thing, like the Korowai Tupu space is such a beautiful offering for youth workers to like back each other, have a place to go, really professionalize what we're doing and how we're doing it. We're not just youth workers wearing hoodies and playing games. We're wearing hoodies and playing games professionally, and we're doing some really cool stuff. And so just really want to, if anyone's thinking about Korowai Tupu, wants to know more, I'm sure the tech team can pop an email in the chat below of who to contact. But yeah, having sitting on the Rōpū now for 2 years, having been part of the membership committee process, I just highly recommend it's a really great place to feel supported in your practice and know you're not alone. There's been times where I've been sitting in the regions going, oh my gosh, what am I doing? How do I do this? And just being able to have a sounding board and an accountability as well is just so, so important. Matt, I'll prop to you. Why do you do what you do?
I think, again, it connected back to Kōwaio. Back in the days of not knowing my sense of belonging or identity, I started to wear another one, which kind of looked like Biggie and Tupac, or Bob Marley, or salt and pepper. I mean, Christina knows about salt and pepper right here. But there was nothing really to do with, who I was, even though I thought it was. And so, our language and our terminologies start to say, using the N word was normal for us. And it was just like a completely different thing. And then I don't tell many people this. I told my class this year because it got really deep with them, but, I went through the issue of whakamomori, or to whakapākea, that is, suicide and suicidal thoughts. I was down that route. I was getting in trouble with the law. I was hanging out with particular gangs. I got into selling and just went down this whole track. It was like, but it wasn't until I figured, when my youth worker, Ross Filippo, started to go, bro, who are you actually? And I went on this journey of whakapono, of faith, of searching. And then now that's why I champion youth work, because now I'm giving that back to, or not giving it back to them, I'm helping them find, okay, so ko wai koe, who are you? Who do you belong to? Where do you belong to? Own that, and let's start figuring out, parts of your identity. The more alive you can be, the more yourself you can be, the better we're all going to be. And so that's, one reason why I champion it. And I really, am part of, the movement for Korowai Tupu, for it to become, I think it's quite a recognized profession now within Aotearoa, and more so the better. However, I also, when we co-founded I was part of the team that co-founded Te Awakairangi Youth Development Network. And we just started having random people coming up to us, oh, can we be involved? And it was like the firefighters. And I was like, hey, are you guys youth workers? And they were like, oh man, we had to, we had to go to a whare where a young person had just taken their life, and we had to, and I was just like, oh, gee. And they were like, how can we stop that from happening? Oh, flip, you might as well come join us then, just come and let's connect. A professional youth worker, Carl, you're a firefighter, but sweet as. And then we had grandparents coming up to us, oh, can we be a part of the, and it's like, are you guys youth workers? Like, oh, we just want the best for our grandchildren. And, we see them going off track and we just want to know how we can help them connect with better. All right, then, I suppose you're youth workers now as well. So, invite the grandparents to our hui and stuff like that. It's just all these randoms. And then I just kind of had this moment where I was sitting on Petone Beach, Petone Beach. And it was like, everybody's a youth worker. Well, everybody could be a youth worker, even though they're not a professional youth worker. If we can give people the tools and stuff to, just like te whare tapawha or youth development strategy, well, it's not called that anymore, it's called mana Taiohi, or, if we can give them some tools just to help them out, I think everyone will be better off, and so, anyway, I'm rambling now, but there's some of the reasons why I champion youth work. Sure.
No, beautiful, thanks, Matt. And I think you just touched on a really beautiful piece of like intergenerational stuff. Like in the mahi I do, quite a lot of our volunteers are quite a lot older than our young people, and just seeing that intergenerational piece when older generations care deeply about young people and the impact that can have. So yeah, just really want to honor that. But I also just really want to speak to your vulnerability just then. Like, I think that's kind of the leadership we need in the youth sector, is this beautiful vulnerability of like, it can be hard and we go through these times, but how do we overcome it? And I think like, if we can show that vulnerability, that allows young people to then show theirs. There's all that research around vulnerability from people like Brené Brown and all of that, and that's what they speak to. And I think it's just so powerful. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think when we do it in these kind of environments, we set the tone to do it, in other places too. So just really want to honor you in that moment and say thank you so much. Moose, I'll pop to you. Sustaining your practice.
Man, I think it probably helps that I'm a lifelong learner, and man, I'm just writing up some notes on this neuro nurture seminar that I went and did, and that's thick too, man. Like, there's a lot of paperwork in there. There's a lot of information. I think it's about constantly moving and evolving in this space. I think that youth are increasingly facing more challenging stuff year to year. With just in this arena, this education arena, we're seeing anxiety and depression on the rise. There's all sorts of stuff. So you got to be prepared to roll with that as it comes along. So to answer the question, it's got to be about ongoing training and understanding the needs of youth, which is I think it's always in flux.
Awesome, that's so true. Yeah, and like we know it's an ever-changing environment for young people, and like I think we saw even more so, COVID's just put a whole new spanner in the works of like, how do we engage with young people online? How do we check in with them that way? All of those kind of like stuff like that. Also, apologies, you go.
Sorry, I just want to expand on one more thing. I'm sorry, Charlie.
No, go for it. Go.
One of the first bits of PD that I did as a youth worker was this was a seminar on self-care, which we did in Whakanui. And one of the things that stuck with me incredibly strongly from that piece of training was that the burnout rate of youth workers is astronomically high. And the second thing is there's always more youth work. So getting back to sustainability, it's got to be about self-care as well, because you got to look after number one, because if you're not okay, then you can't help anybody else. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that is such an important thing to make. I'm glad you decided to like share that with us, because it's so important. And I always think of the analogy, people say, oh, you can't pour from an empty cup, but actually you shouldn't be pouring from your cup at all. Because the moment you're taking away from your cup, you're actually exhausting yourself. What you should do is overflow your cup with goodness and give your overflow to everyone else. So I always think of that. So rather than pouring from my cup, it's what do I need to fill my cup up so that it overflows. And so, yeah, self-care is just so, so important. I also want to apologize. I thought I had asked the question rather than just popping to you. So you did well to be like, hang on, wait. So
It's all good.
Yeah, no, all good. All right, I will pop to Matt and then we'll go to Mandy. So Matt, what do you do to sustain your practice and look after yourself?
There's this thing I learned, was it in rap training or something, where it was this line around young people don't really care how much you know, they want to know how much you care for them, as opposed to, so I 100% believe in, professional development and keeping up the times, and, there's all these different streams of mātauranga and knowledge that, we're evolving, we're developing all the time. But I think for me, it has to be in whakawhanaungatanga, in relationships. It's been the one thing that sustained me. It was the one thing that, dissolved all of those suicidal kind of thoughts or whatever those things were coming on, because I felt like I was woven to this greater fabric of people, of community, of the forest, of this ngāhere and all the different connections. Even just people in this blooming call right now, Lorna, great. I want to call you out. Lorna, Chloe, Sai, Christina, Mandy, and James was probably hiding behind the screen somewhere. Just like all of these amazing people have just, really kept sustaining me and giving me hope, for Aotearoa. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, just chucking it out there. But Jordan's the GOAT, just saying. Anyway, let's move on. Sustaining youth work, yes, it has to be in just all the relationships that we've kept. Especially when like crap hits the fan, and you've got like safe people you can go to and just go, yeah, this is what, like there's so much you can say to your supervisor, whether it's like internal or external. But then when you got your safe people that you can just be like, go have a beer and be like, man, this. And it's like, I don't know. Then you got these safe people that speak life back into you and help you problem solve certain situations. I mean, for me, really, that's been, whakawhanaungatanga. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, no, beautiful, Matt. And what you said about those safe people, I think they're so important. And, I was half expecting when you said Jane as well, to her appear on Michael Jordan's face behind side, but she didn't quite. So maybe next time. But yeah, no, it's so important to have those people. So yeah, really want to like reiterate what you said there. It's just so, so important. Mandy, I'll pop to you now. How do you sustain yourself in your practice?
Good question. Good question. It's a constant battle, hey, for all of us, I think. Things get so fast and hectic and we feel pulled. So if we aren't the kaitiakitanga of our own energy, if we aren't the minders and the keepers of what goes out and what comes in, if we're not in the driver's seat, then we will get burnt out. So yeah, relationships top us up. They're really important. They're all I have in my kete is relationships. I know who to call on and what to call on. However, I would also say that commitment to the personal learning journey is essential, the identity journey and the education journey, commitment to growth, knowing the self, knowing the limitations, knowing the blind spots, uncovering them. We can only be as good as the people who are mentoring us, and that's why I look for new supervisors for ourselves, continue to grow in that space as well. It's actually an ethical responsibility as a youth worker to continue to grow in these ways. And that would be my whittle.
Fabulous, Mandy. I couldn't agree more. It was funny because there's a bunch of us who have been asked the similar question. There's posts happening throughout the week on the Taiohi Facebook page and on the Instagram, and it's asking similar questions. And I think the Korowai Tupu, we got asked this question as well. And I think I actually shot back that my motivation was coffee and banter. And you guys have all said such beautiful answers. But yeah, it's those relationship. It's being committed to being an ongoing learner, however that looks, whether that's in relationship with learning from someone, or if you're a bit more academic, then reading an article. You know, Aotearoa blesses us with such good resource hubs that we can always plug into. And actually today, you know, I'd really encourage everyone in the chat, if you could share how do you sustain your practice, and we'll pick someone at random, and we've got a little small giveaway of the navigation of Code of Ethics cards. So would love if people could pop in the chat, and the tech team can help me figure out how we're going to draw a winner. But I'd really love to know, because I think we learn from each other, right? When other people share that, you're like, oh yes, that's a great idea, or oh, I should adapt that practice and that kind of thing. And also, Mandy, just want to highlight what you said as well around mentors. Like, I think there's such beauty in that. And I'm a person who believes in the make your idols your rivals. So someone who you idolize, I want to be able to rival them in going for something like, you know, in a good, healthy, competitive way. So yeah, awesome. Right, well, people start popping that in the chat. We're also going to go into the breakout room. So now we get a chance to actually interact with our panelists. So this is the great thing about this, Zoe, is we get to be a bit more interactive and actually have some discussions and some questions. So we'll be popping into breakout rooms. The panelists will each be in one of those rooms, and so will our tech team. So yeah, this is a chance to ask some questions, have a discussion. You know, if they said something that really lit your fire, let them know. You've got any burning questions, this is also the time as well. So, kia ora whānau, we're back, and it is bang on 12 o'clock. So we'll be wrapping up shortly, but I just want to say a huge thank you to our panelists for giving us their time, their attention, their wisdom today. So a huge round of applause from me and from everyone here. Thank you so much for your wisdom. So, or sign language, I think is that. So yeah, really, really appreciate that. I hope everyone enjoyed the breakouts, got to ask some really cool questions, had some really great discussions. And I think if we can take anything away from this is keep those, you know, conversations going, keep being curious, ask those who've been around the tracks. They can give you tips and little pro tips here and there, and check in with each other. You know, this is, mahi can be exhausting, especially in COVID times. A lot of us have screen fatigue. So like making sure we're looking after ourselves, but also, like we said, that community care, looking after each other. But yeah, we'll just ask if anyone wants to close us with a karakia, and then we'll close this space.
Yeah, koe te kai karakia whakatuwhera. I was the one that opened, so I'll whakakapi, I'll close us up.
Kia ora, mate.
Ka pai, ka nui te aroha ki a koutou, ngā mihi aroha, ka karakia tātou. Paupaua ki runga, paupaua ki raro, ki taku aro e. Kia mau, kia ita, kia mau. Kia tū, tauana, hara mai te toki. Haumi e, hui e, tai.
Kai ki.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Te ngā mihi, te kingi o te wairua, kia pai o koutou rā.
Kia ora, ka kite whānau.
Ka kite, thank you.
Ka kite.
Ngā Toa.